Welcome to, are we still calling this Dangertainment? I ask this every single episode. I don't know. Yet another Spooky Empire convention it's not a wrap-up video. Usually it's a wrap-up video, but we still got a day to go at this point.
Yeah.
And you can't tell by behind me, we're not where we normally are to film these, and in more ways than one. Actually hanging out at my parents' house in Tampa. It is Saturday night. The con started Thursday night, Halloween, and it has gone through the weekend, and one day left to go, but we wanted to get some recorded so that we have some content leading up. Yeah, and we're pretty much done with a lot of stuff anyway, so...
yeah, we have most of the purchases and photo ops out of the way. I think tomorrow will probably be, just a panel day, or...
Probably.
Last minute buys, because we got... surprisingly, we got everything we wanted to today.
Yeah.
Lines weren't too horrendous to be able to...
You know. We did spend most of the day waiting in lines.
We did, but
we kind of expected it.
But we didn't have to do what happened.
So, I guess we'll back up to Thursday. Thursday, we headed down here from Jacksonville. The con didn't open until, 5 o'clock?
5 for normal people, 3:30 for people with money.
We don't talk about those people.
People with money.
No. So yeah, we got here a little on the early side, and I don't know if I've ever actually had a video. I don't even have video content for this one, but Grindhouse Video is a local video store here in Tampa. The guy has been at the con for many years, and he's actually the owner of the store is actually sponsoring the con this time. They have a big old booth at the con itself, but their store is amazing. If you were a fan of horror or just obscure exploitation film, whatever, it is just an amazing place to go. They recently did a really cool article on his place and his business in the Tampa paper. So yeah, I've been there multiple times. I wanted to show Colin what that, the horror nerd heaven looks like.
I still say you should get that paper signed and framed. If you don't, give it to me. I'll do it in a heartbeat.
So I didn't pick up much. I picked up, basically Scream Factory recently announced they're discontinuing a couple movies, so I picked up Lord of Illusion, just because that was on that list, and I picked up Poltergeist 2, they're a used copy of the Scream Factory, which is perfect, so those are my only 2 purchases from there, but you spent 90% of your budget there.
Yeah, I had a plan of what I wanted to buy. Luckily, I found everything I wanted to buy. Well, a few things that are out of my range, but I know you're still planning on picking up Werewolf in London.
We'll see.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll just spend, $20 or $50 over at FYE. But I walked in, and after, how many times did they have to revive me? Walked around, went into instead of going to the good department where he always tells me, hey, go look at the new stuff, I went right to the back room with the VHSs, the DVDs, and the Blu-rays that are used. And, I guess I'll go through all the used stuff first.
I mean, the first thing you found was weird because it wasn't in a trunk.
Yeah, I've been hearing news about the Soska sisters. I can't pronounce it. If they're watching,
the stars of Elevator.
The directors of See No Evil 2.
I didn't see it.
American Mary was amazing, though. I will say that.
Yeah, it was fun.
But I picked up their first movie. It was a Blu-ray special exclusive for Horror Pack, and since I'm not subscribed to that yet, I've been looking for it, and eBay has it for hit and miss prices. I picked up Dead Hooker in a Trunk. I then also picked up, because I'm trying to hold off on buying select titles of Scream Factory or Shout Factory, Scream Factory, because they have a tendency of, if there's a John Carpenter movie, eventually there's going to be a steelbook. So, crap, I just bought In the Mouth of Madness. That's going to be a steelbook. But they're re-releasing all the Roger Corman stuff on steelbook, so picked up in the used department Galaxy of Terror and Forbidden World. And they had Life Force, but I've been seeing that pretty much for what the price they have it at other places, so I held off on that. And then last one was a movie I've been looking for, and I finally found a physical copy. I want to find it in a store before I actually go on Amazon. But it's a Brad Dourif movie. I'm a huge Brad Dourif fan. I've been wanting to... I saw that look. I picked up Last Kind Words. I've never seen it. It had Brad Dourif. I was like, hey, for $6, I've spent more and worse.
You know I'm cutting in like the Rocky Horror Brad thing in here, right? So anyway, then we finally got to the damn con. And this is definitely the first, I think it is my first full weekend at Spooky Empire ever. It's also the first time I've ever been there on a Thursday. I don't know if they've ever done a Thursday before. So anyway, this was a kind of a first on a couple different levels. And I had planned multiple costumes for this event. So because it was Halloween, I decided to go with my Hobo Myers from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Started at 5, so it was a pretty short day, but there wasn't a lot of people there, so you were able to get kind of a little bit done that you wouldn't be able to do on a more crowded day. It was really quick and easy to pick up the wristbands to get in and everything. And then basically upstairs is a huge area, one big section of the Tampa Convention Center full of the tattoo stuff, the vendor room, the autograph area, the kids zone, the stage, like basically 90% of Spooky all in one giant room.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was really a big room. You could walk through it relatively quickly, but especially if there weren't huge crowds. But it was still, pretty big and pretty crazy. Really, the first day was spent mostly kind of just getting a feel for where everything was, knowing that we had a full day, or most of a full day Friday to really go and do stuff. Before it really got too crazy anyway, it seemed like a good idea just to kind of browse the vendors and decide who's getting what money and how broke I'm going to be. So I ended up doing a couple of the fancier photo ops they have. Beyond just having normal photo ops now, they have a lot of things where you can have photos taken with actors in costume and things like that. And Danielle Harris was doing one of herself in the clown costume from Halloween 4. And I really wanted to do that one just because, I was in the Hobo Myers costume. It was the most confusing Danielle Harris timeline at all possible. But I'll throw the photo in here. I thought they came out pretty cool. I think out of the 3 costumes I did for the weekend, Hobo Myers seemed to get the most reactions out of anybody.
That's what I noticed when we were walking around. That was the one that got a lot of people stopping you for a photo. And the most that people were talking about. The biggest one I remember is we were walking around and there's this guy dressed as Arkham Asylum Scarecrow. Very well done. I swear I saw him more than anybody else that night because I swear it doesn't seem like he was following you because he just loved his outfit. He got a few photos.
But yeah, I took photos of a decent amount of people. I actually went up to, there was a booth. I'll add a subtitle here of the name of the vendor, but basically it was a vendor. I think they've been there in the past selling exclusives.
Oh yeah, they're the one that had the Alex Have a Nice Day.
Alex Purdy, the artist. I know him best from Digging Up the Marrow. He did it with the used album covers back in the day.
He did?
I think so.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was his first thing he was really known for.
You see it on this channel every time I'm on because I have his book getting signed every damn convention.
He put out a figure, this candy corn monster. I'll show it here. I didn't bring any of my stuff here with me to show. He had a Spooky Empire variant, but actually I ended up picking up. They had the original version that was the normal candy corn colors. The Spooky Empire, the top part, the bigger part of the candy corn, looked like it was chocolate dipped almost. Mm-hmm. I preferred the original colors, so I picked that. There's only 500 made anyway, so it's a limited thing. But I bought that while I was in costume, and then the guy's like, "Hey, could you pick up the figure and I'll take a photo of you holding it in your costume?" So he took that photo, and then Alex shared it, and then the con shared it. So I was pretty happy about that. I mean, I know my Hobo Myers is far from the best, but it was so cool.
At least you actually can pull it off.
I mean, it looks like Hobo Myers has been eating well on the streets, but...
Well, how many 8-foot-tall hobos do you see walking around a convention? Don't answer that.
A lot.
They just don't wear masks.
And then, because I can't resist buying Trick or Treat Studio stuff...
At a con.
This vendor... I'm blanking on their name again, too. I made sure I videoed their booth, so I actually have their vendor name for once. But there used to be at every Spooky, and I feel like I haven't seen them the last few. I could be wrong, but they used to also bring a bunch of Halloween masks and costume stuff, and a lot of Trick or Treat Studios. Amongst that, if you guys know, Trick or Treat Studios has become my new NECA as far as I just keep buying their crap. I kind of like the Trick or Treat Studio stuff because it is always a little bit needing help, so sometimes I like taking that up as a project to try to make it a little better, or I have some stuff I do want to pass along to other people to do some work on. But I ended up picking up, they did the 2018 Michael Myers knife. It looks really cool. The old knives used to be foam, used to be really thick, These are thin plastic. They're actually electroplated, so it's a process where they like chemically bond or electrochemically bond thin layer of metal to the outside of the plastic. So it's actually like a real shiny chrome knife. I've seen some people complaining, but apparently if you take a Brillo pad and scuff it up, it looks more like a used knife. This looks like fresh out of the factory, super shiny chrome butcher knife. And then I also picked up the Danielle Harris clown mask, just a little eye mask that she wears in Halloween 4. And I figured that would be cool to have. I was thinking about trying to get her to sign it, but I don't really have a lot of signed props or anything. And I have a signed photo from her already, so I kind of passed on that one.
That would only have worked if there wasn't a booth also. Like if you didn't find the mask actually being sold, you were going to do that idea. But since you found it separate, you decided to do it.
Yeah, I thought I'd seen her have them at her booth at cons. She didn't have them here. So, it just didn't align. The mask was also very, very cheap from the seller, so to me it was like, I just buy it from this because I'm not going to get a better price.
Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff like that.
So that pretty much capped off Thursday, went and got Cuban food. Ended off Halloween. So Friday, you actually ended up going back to Grindhouse. Some of those pickups he showed were from a second go through because basically like he wanted to see the store and saw what the booth of the convention had, and then realized, oh crap, I need to go buy stuff.
I was hoping they'd have stuff that maybe they didn't have in the store at the booth. They didn't have it, and I was like, okay. Some of the stuff that I wanted to get because of the prices, and then I picked up, and then other stuff I was like, okay, they're at the convention, I can pick it up last minute, worst case, online. But we get back, we're heading to the convention Friday morning, and after getting lost, I'm going to blame me and Grindhouse Video for that, we finally get to the parking garage, closed for the day. So we decided to park, 2 miles away?
I mean, it felt like 2 miles, but I also was wearing the worst possible footwear for this, so... So yeah, we ended up parking far away, and... my costume for Friday, because my plan was, one of the guests I wanted to meet on Friday was Joe Bob Briggs and Darcy. So I had my Madman Mars gear on, because I figured if any day I was going to meet them, having a character that they did fairly recently, I think, on their show would have been kind of fun. So that one is, full face makeup, the bitten off nose and the eye scar and all that. But the other thing is Madman Mars is barefoot. At least in most of the movie. The opening scene, he's not barefoot, but that's when he's still a normal dude. But most of the movie, he's barefoot. So I have these latex feet. I think they're meant for a Flintstones parody or rip-off kind of costume thing.
Hobbit.
But yeah, you're a hobbit. But that's what I wear with the costume. But I didn't anticipate having to walk so far in them. And it's a very thin piece of latex between my foot and the floor, and they're open in the back. And that was bad enough heading to the con. I'll skip ahead a couple hours later, after I'd been in this for hours. My feet were sweating, and they kept slipping out of the shoe because there's basically nothing holding my foot in. So I felt like a cartoon character, you see them trying to run forward, but just moving in place with their legs spinning and just unable to get any traction to actually go forward. It was fairly miserable. And then walking back, I swear I might as well have been barefoot because I felt every damn rock, pebble, and everything else in my shoes. It was not a good time.
Oh, God. For me, it was.
And this is why he got an axe to the head.
I'm gimping because of my bad leg.
Oh, God. It's turning into the Jaws remake nobody wanted. Somebody get Tracy Morgan here.
Where's that axe? I'll axe you for that.
Was he gonna do it? Wasn't that the plan at some point?
Don't remind me. I remember when that was announced, I was the most pissed off person. What is it, 5-10 years ago when that was announced? 10 years ago?
Now Playing did the review. I think it was 2000.
Yeah, it was it was before I met you.
No, it had to be 2010.
Yeah, it was before I met you, and I just remember being so fucking pissed. We talked briefly, I think, on a previous video when he did Madman makeup before. We went to a Best Buy and he was scaring little kids.
Not intentionally.
No.
I forgot I had the makeup
he was
on.
We were just walking through a Best Buy and people looked at his face. And we're leaving.
And that happens normally.
He just got changed. He still has the makeup on, and we're walking back to the convention. This little girl, has to be 4 or 5, goes, "Oh my God, that's cool makeup." I think that was hilarious because she was probably 4 years younger than the girl that was scared of him, and it was just I thought it was just a stupid, funny moment that someone younger than the other girl thought it was cool, and she thought it was terrifying.
But anyway, back on track. So Friday, it was actually the first thing you need to do was one of the vendors we usually hit when we go there, London 1888. We've been kind of frequenting their booth a lot in the last few cons. Mm-hmm. They weren't open Thursday. They had everything set up.
Everything's set up, but it was tarped off. Like,
so,
hey, we're teasing you.
So you had to go pick up some stuff from them.
Since I've been dealing with him and a few other people I've seen on YouTube have been making horror battle jackets, I finally have been wanting to make one. I attempted one with a leather jacket
in Florida.
That wasn't really the reason why I stopped it. That was a false thing, or that dead in the water. Upgraded to a denim one, and there was a patch that he first got. It was the KOKLA Red River Rock and Roll patch. I enjoy that movie from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I enjoy Stretch. I was like, this is one I have to have. I know it's copying him, but hey, he's going to copy me in the future, so meh.
Just for that, I'm burning that patch.
Trick or treat, motherfucker. I don't care. But I had to pick up that patch. And then, bad enough, hopefully this video doesn't get flagged or you don't hate him because I'm a fan. They did a Helter Skelter Charlie Manson run. And just because I need things to make sure I am hated in my family, I decided to get a Charlie Manson shirt, Helter Skelter.
It's a terrible picture of Bill Moseley.
That was my intro to true crime. And I was like, you know what? I already have a Zodiac shirt. I need a Charlie Manson shirt.
Zodiac shirt at least is subtle. If you don't know about the Zodiac killer, you're going to know what the hell's on his shirt.
But still.
It's just a cipher on his shirt.
It's still a badass shirt.
It is a cool shirt, I will admit. I think after that, our next stop was Joe Bob's booth. Darcy was there as well.
Elvira.
Yeah. Well, next to them was Elvira's booth, and they were doing the pop vinyl. And then,
unloading the pop vinyl.
Elvira wasn't even doing signings that day, so I guess Darcy took it upon herself to fill in that gap.
Yeah.
Very nicely.
God, the pops were already in this week, or this trip. And
hey, I'm here at invites. So
I heard complaints about, the most I heard complaints was the line, her not signing, and then how many pops people got. Which I heard some people got like more than they should, and then I heard some people.
If you're gonna make the bad decision to collect pop vinyls in your life, then you kind of deserve what's coming to you.
I got out of it. I went to rehab.
We actually kind of camped out by Joe Bob's booth the night previous, where they had stepped away for a little bit. But I wanted to get a photo with him, and for Halloween, they decided to go full Halloween costume. Darcy had like a Harley Quinn costume, and Joe Bob actually he's wearing like that pumpkin blazer they sell at, I guess it is the
SS Pumpkin.
Pumpkin, whatever. But, and then he had his face painted like the Joker, and like his hair was dyed green. And I was like, if I'm going to get a photo with him, I would kind of rather it look like him.
Which I feel bad for the photo.
Yeah, he had a paid photo op that night. And I'm kind of glad. I don't know, to me, that would kind of stink, but whatever. Maybe it's cool. You have a Halloween photo with Joe Bob. So I guess it's a toss-up, there's good and bad to it.
Yeah. If it wasn't Halloween, I would probably be furious.
I know, furious, but slightly bummed. But
I'll give you that. Okay, bummed.
But, having a weekend pass, it was easy enough to make the choice. Okay, we'll go back tomorrow, and he'll probably look like Joe Bob. And he did. I got a photo with them in the Madman costume, and got them both to sign an 8x10. You picked up some merch.
I didn't find any autographs or any pictures I wanted. I didn't want a shirt. My stupid thought process was thinking, hey, he might be selling knockoff bolos. Because I started wearing bolo ties to work. I think it'd be kind of cool.
Apparently you have to talk to their set decorator, not him.
Both things I still picked up from Fright Rags / Joe Bob. One was his enamel pin, or the last drive-in. That'll be added to my vest as soon as I get the correct amount of parts. And then the Joe Bob socks. I'm like, well, they're still Fright Rags. I mean, I was going to pick these up online, but why not buy them from the actual person? So that was fun. Got a photo with them as well. It was actually fun how Darcy was actually into the talks of her fans as well. Like, she had a lot of fans too, which to be honest, I didn't know she had a following as well.
She seemed to like my costume too. She made a couple of comments. She was like, oh, the makeup looks really cool. She was like, did you do makeup yourself? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, you even did the feet. So I made it a little worthwhile.
I didn't know that.
Destroy
That's
my
cool.
feet in the process of walking around. And then right after, like, I think maybe a couple people after us got autographs, and then they went down to do, well, Joe Bob's Q&A, which was, first of all, it was an amazing thing. You talked about a lot of stuff. Some of it was kind of surprising because, you know, normally the moderator will ask some questions and it'll open up to the audience.
Yeah.
But some of the things that, like, seemed like they were, like, important questions kind of got left up to the chance that somebody in the audience asked, which is kind of strange. But it was just Joe Bob with a moderator, and we were kind of at the back of the room, and then Darcy's sitting in the back of the room making snide comments whenever Halloween 3 gets brought up, which is amazing. Because she's all, you know, pro Tom Atkins, pro doing the movie on their show. Honestly, the thing was they couldn't get the rights to show it. They actually wanted to show it for the Halloween Hootenanny, but they did not. And I think that might be the first time I've ever said Hootenanny out loud.
It was also a nice Q&A because it went into, he discussed about what all it takes to prepare to do a show, like the origins of bringing it back to Shudder and what all it took to, like, hey, if we're going to do this, we're doing it big. Like, we're going to first do a whole weekend, and then it was going to be 24 hours, like, and what all it took to actually, like, choose the movies. Do we have the rights? Will the people who run Shudder actually want to do these? Stuff like that. And it was actually kind of neat to hear all that instead of, we did it.
Yeah, and it was just cool. They were talking about how shoestring budget the first marathon they did was. It was supposed to be, what, like all weekend, like 3 days straight, and they couldn't get the budget. They had like $30,000 to do everything, and the crew agreed to work for free.
I thought it was it $30,000 for the whole weekend, or was it $30,000?
It was, they had $30,000 in a slush fund, and that they just
that was it. Okay, it was part of the slush
fund.
fund.
The $30,000 that they had. And the crew agreed to work for free, and that's the only reason Joe Bob said he agreed to it was because, like, well, I'm a jerk if I say no now.
Exactly.
Like, they're all willing to work for free. If I can't, like, get off my ass and make this work.
Yeah.
They ended up, like, they had a connection to the guys who do Ink Master, and I guess Ink Master operates out of an abandoned factory in, like, Newark, New Jersey, and they got a room in this abandoned factory. They were going to do a 3-camera shoot, and then they could only fit 2 cameras, and they just did what they could and made it happen.
Rose was I still have yet to watch any of these. I've watched Halloween 4. That's it of all those things. I still need to binge it one day. But it was kind of cool to hear that, you know, Ink Master's in one set, Last Drive-In's in another, and then Jigsaw's murdering a group of kids in a third one, you know.
No. It's Newark. Joe Spinell is there. His mother told him not to go out tonight, but, you know, he's scalping some chicks in the subway.
Don't lie to me.
So after that, we ended up going to spend more money and get more autographs.
Friday night, I wanted to get James Hong. He's Lopan from Big Trouble in Little China. He's 90. He's getting up there in age, and he's also in the book. And I was like, I gotta get him. I have to try. So made sure my budget was at least for him and Bruce Campbell. So I'm thinking, like, every time I saw him, he was being walked, like he couldn't see and all that. So I'm like, oh god, he's frail. Oh no. I'm standing in line, he's dancing, every time he's autographing a quote, he says the quote, like he shows to the audience and he does the quote, and it's like people laughing. He's just, you know, jokingly like, come on, do it more.
Oh, that's what, because I kept hearing applause erupting. I walked around the autograph area and I just kept hearing.
Yeah, because he would if he wrote a line, he would say it if it's a different line that was signed, and then people would just laugh and applaud, and
that's great.
He would milk it. And then even dancing, like he was dancing.
I saw him dancing with the one girl for the photo.
And it was just, I'm like, you fooled me, like you faker.
I saw him like punching somebody in the face for a photo or stuff. It looked really cool. It looked like it was a good time.
It was. He is definitely one of those, like, if you walk away with a bad experience, it must not be a good day, because there was no frown faces with that. He was in a great mood. He was smiling. He was laughing and interacting with everybody. I get up there and I have him sign my book. Wow, we don't even have to do a close-up. And he likes the artwork. He was joking, and he's like, oh, look, there is a face in here, because it's a squinting face. And then as I'm leaving, he's like, oh, so you know the artist personally? I'm like, well, I know him online. He's like, tell him the artwork sucks. I'm like, I don't know if you're joking or not. But that was fun. While I was standing in line, he went off.
Basically, they had the big draw. One of the big draws. This felt like there was a few different like big draws for this con.
Elvira.
Yeah, well.
Twisted Sister.
Yeah, like
Joe Bob. And then the Raimis and Bruce.
Yeah, so Ted and Sam.
6.
There's some big names this time. Like, I heard some people complaining about there weren't enough big names. There are plenty of big names.
Elvira pretty much is the big name because she's carrying around a fucking Funko.
Oh, I thought you said 2 basketballs. Sam and Bruce were Saturday, Sunday only, but Ted Raimi was actually all 3 days of the weekend. He wasn't there Thursday, but I figured might as well get his autograph out of the way. I figured he would have a very long line, but I never really saw his line get very long at any point during the weekend.
The longest I saw was maybe...
Like, it was less than, like, Alice Cooper's line.
But the longest I saw at the time was the normal line for the Bruce and Sam. Was that little... The entry point of their regular...
His zone, got it.
Yeah, their zones.
Yeah. But he was nice. I had him sign a Henrietta picture. He had one from Ash vs. Evil Dead and one from the original Evil Dead 2. So, of course, I went with the classic version.
Did he have his picture from Midnight Meat Train?
I don't remember.
Oh.
I was only paying attention to Evil Dead stuff.
I didn't know.
But then I went over to Warrington Gillette, and may I say, this man has the oddest assortment of Jason photos at his desk that I have ever seen in my life. Because of course he has some that are, him. Specifically one where he didn't have the bag on because that's where he's most recognizable. I mean, I know there's some debate over which stuff is even Steve Dash and what is him in the movie. But anyway, so he had the Friday the 13th remake poster on his desk to sign, and he had the Part 2 Jason from the game, which, it's based on his look, but that's Kane Hodder doing mocap for all that. So, to me, any video game Jason is automatically Kane Hodder.
Well, it's not the first time he's taking credit.
He also had hockey masks to sign, which I look really good.
If he did, it should have been the 13X where it was the...
No, it was the black hockey masks.
What the fuck?
I think it was because somebody gave him one of those, Malto chrome pens. They're really cool pens. But, I think he just wanted to use it as much as possible, so he got everything as dark as he could.
The only defense I'll say was the remake Jason poster say his name is Jason on it.
No.
Nope, never mind. Not defending it. Because his name is Jason poster, that's what everyone was getting signed when that first came out.
True.
And that was, stylish
remake. It was just the mask, the mask fading into darkness.
Yeah. So that was
But anyway, I got him signed an actual picture of himself as Jason, not a video game, and not Derek Mears, not Steve Dash. That's a little harder to know. I mean, I'm sure people probably have categorized it, but I don't know enough to say definitively what's Gillette and what's Dash. But
let's see. Once that whole Steve Dash came out and flat out called him out on it. Didn't see Gillette doing conventions.
Yeah, then
sadly, Steve has passed. Now Gillette's back in the spotlight for conventions. Yeah, sorry.
Whatever. And the guy in front of me had a very cool giant poster. It looked like one of those things from, I'm totally blanking on the name, but basically it's a comic cover that looks like Hulk versus Wolverine, whatever episode that, not the Claws one, but the one where you actually see them going at each other on the comic cover. And they redid that with Freddie and Jason and Michael, and the guy had it signed by all kinds of people. So me coming up getting an 8x10 signed after that. And also this guy I guess made effects for movies, and he was talking to Gillette about maybe working together on this movie that Gillette's trying to crowdfund or whatever. So I just had the most lackluster thing to follow with. So it was a brief but whatever kind of conversation. And then that leads us up to modern time. Today, Saturday. Ooh, we're moving into the future. My hair is sticking out at weird angles. Mostly because today my costume was the Freddy versus Jason versus Ash version of Jason. That is a lot of words to describe a costume, but it's basically the Freddy versus Jason version, but he has a slash up the back so you can see his spine. And then his mask is shot, so it's only part of a mask. It kind of stops over here. So that was what I wore today, mostly because today was the day the Evil Dead people were showing up, and it was the closest thing I had to an Evil Dead costume. So first thing going in was something we tried to do on Friday night, but weren't able to. Danielle Harris is one of the guests at the con, and my ongoing autograph project, similar to his book, is I have a poster for the movie Holliston. You may have seen it, but probably not recently. Yeah, it's a TV show. Whatever. I haven't gotten it signed in about a year. Sid Haig, I believe, was the last one to sign it, and I haven't had any guests, or Bill Moseley technically was the last one to sign it. They're sitting next to each other, it's the same thing. So I was finally able to get Danielle to sign it. She's in, I think, 2 episodes of the show, one on season 1, one on season 2.
Yeah.
And particularly, she's in the episode in the season 1 where they go to a horror convention. So it just feels very appropriate to be getting this autograph. It was kind of nice. It's funny because there were actually 3 people from Holliston at the con. Tony Todd and Dee Snyder were also here, but I'd already gotten both of them to sign it. So Danielle was the only one I needed this time. And I think I unfurled it and she immediately saw Sid Haig's signature. She kind of was like, "Aw." So, but yeah, that was cool. Kind of talked briefly about, I was like, I really hope he gets to season 3. It feels like somebody needs to bring it back. But I say that every time I get it signed. And maybe one day it'll happen. Or at least the list of people I need to get to sign it is shorter.
Good luck. One day.
Yeah, once I feel like I'm done, he's going to be like, oh, we're making season 3 and we're going to have like 10 billion more people.
The list of people that you need to get that are hard to get is shorter than the actual cast list that you need.
Yeah. So that was kind of quick and easy once she actually was there this morning. I mean, she's traveling with her family, so I get why she might have had to book out early the other night. Mm-hmm. So then after that, Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi were in for their autographs in the afternoon, I think starting around 2 o'clock. And kind of just got in line for Bruce. It was quite a long line. It spanned the entire length of the convention floor at one point, I believe, including some zigzags back and forth.
Oh, God.
So it was a bit of a crazy line. So we were waiting, and thankfully they did a line cap, which I think they had to, because really it was a 2 or 3 hour span of time he had. Then there was a break, and then he would come back and do another 2 hours later in the day. So they had to put a line cap in because you could only realistically get so many people in a session. Mm-hmm. So this time, unlike some of the previous times we've had where they'll have the VIP line and the VIPs will just let VIPs go, but it's like this unending line of VIPs and you can never really get the regular people up until they start realizing they need to alternate. This time at least there was a line cap, so you knew when that VIP line went, then it was time for us plebs to go through.
But they still kind of did that because they end capped the VIP for a while and then they shortened that out. And then they cut that, and then they did the VIP. But then, from what I heard, once you get to the money counter, VIP was off the table. It's like you just stand in line because it's a short enough line. Just get in line, which I thought was actually kind of neat. I think that was the right way to do it in my eye because that means you can still put VIP in as well as normal people. It's just the money counter is the end cap.
The first come, first serve to that.
Yeah, and it's
dictated by the lines.
There's only 10 people in that, maybe 10 people in that line. So you can easily put VIP in regular.
And for a big guest like Bruce, I think they did this about the best way they possibly could have. I really didn't see anything they could have realistically done to really control the crowd too much more.
With where they were at, yeah. Because there was
with the space limitations they had, with the time limitations they had, I think it was about as good as it could have been.
They could have put him in the corner like they did Elvira, but it was handled. They did once they figured out the line capacity of how big their line was going to be. It was handled within maybe 10 minutes.
It was really efficient to whatever degree. But my problem was the line. Bruce got there at 2. It was going to sign until 4, and I had bought tickets to another guest photo op. This time with C.J. Graham and Alice Cooper together. So it became a thing of oh crap, this line's not going to move. I'm not going to get out of here. So I was waiting in line, and then it was oh shit, well I just got to go. So I took off, ran downstairs. I'm glad I went early because by 3:15, when it was scheduled to start, they were already calling last call. And so I was there early enough that I got in and really quickly got my photo, which is my half version of my costume. I just put the mask on without the underhood.
It's okay. So Alice Cooper was in half-ass costume too.
No, it looks like some weird de-evolution. There's CJ Graham in full Jason regalia. Then there's some fat version of Jason with
Hobo Jason
hair, and then a half mask so my beard's sticking out the bottom. And then there's Alice Cooper.
Well, he's getting all that done. I'm staying in line holding this line, entertaining some little 7-year-old saying, "Show me the way to go home," and this is the song that never ends. I swear to God.
Does it just go on and on, my friend?
Shut the hell up.
I heard some people start singing it, not knowing what it was, and then they'll continue singing it forever, just because.
If you lose viewers or sponsors, or blame him. He sings it, not me. I may be the Howard the Duck singer, but not that.
I didn't sing anything.
You hinted it. We got to about 5 people in line. He shows up. Instead of jumping the line, he decided to wait until I was up front and pretty much just joined me. We went.
Thankfully, everybody saw that I was in line with him, so I don't think I pissed
easy to spot
off.
a guy in a big burlap jacket.
Well, yeah.
It's like, oh, he's not wearing a black shirt.
So I was able to kind of reclaim my spot and go and get Bruce's autograph. You went first and got your book signed.
He's 2 people in 1 for this page. I asked him to sign along the top for both. He's like, no, I'm just going to do it on top of my character. Which, hey, he wants to sign it. I'm not going to argue.
Bill Mosley to sign him.
But, hey, yeah, we'll have 2 autographs then. He did at least put some indentations there so I can actually say, hey, he did. But he signed above it. He didn't really comment. He was the first person I've ever noticed to not mention the art. Granted, I think he's kind of like signed, done, which I was expecting. And it was cool to meet him. I missed out on when he first was at Spooky. Granted, I don't even know if I was there the last time he was at Spooky. I think that
wasn't. That was the second, or the first Spooky Mayhem after I'd gone.
So that was the Holliston. Was that the Holliston year?
It might have been.
Yeah, but it was still fun to actually meet him and be a part of it. So he signed my book. I'm happy. It was fun to actually see him, and he actually does dress up. He has the whole red.
He just dressed like Hugh Hefner.
Okay.
That was
he dresses like his book cover.
It was the most formal corner of the autograph room because Ted was in a suit, at least both days. Sam was in a suit. Bruce was in a smoking jacket, but his handler was in a suit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I noticed up at the front, like where they had the 8x10s, they didn't have a whole lot, and I believe they were all, if not almost all, Evil Dead related, which makes sense. I mean, this is the thing he's known best for. But I was like, I'm going to go up and I'm going to talk to him about something other than Evil Dead just to be a little different. And because Phantasm was a few weeks ago, I talked to Don Coscarelli about Bubba Hotep. I was like, I'll just bring that up. And I was like, I told him I just got to talk to Don Coscarelli a little bit about Bubba Hotep. I loved you in that movie. He's like, yeah, it was a great combination of things coming together to make a really good movie. We don't need another one. That might have been a little more emphatic than he said it, but it was just, it kind of took me off guard. I'm like, I wasn't saying we need another one. I just said I really liked it. But,
you're one of them.
I mean, I guess in his own movie, making fun of himself, they make fun of fans of Bubba Hotep, so I guess I should have anticipated it. But, yeah. I actually meant to ask Ted Raimi about playing the dude who gets attacked by a Chinese bean curd demon and sings about it.
In what?
My name is Bruce.
It's been forever since I've seen
I think it's Ted Raimi that sings about the bean curd demon.
I saw it when it came out. That was it.
It's been a while since I saw it too, but I believe that's in there.
I plan on buying it if I ever see it.
So after that, I ended up kind of walking through, and I'd seen the dude, the guy and his wife from View from the Cheap Seats, who I watch a lot of their videos. They go to tons of stuff around Central Florida especially, but kind of all over, and they film video reviews and stuff on it. So his videos have been really useful for things like knowing about different concerts or different haunted houses and theme park information, all kinds of cool stuff. So I see him at a lot of events. It used to be a game where I'd watch his videos and be like, oh, where am I in the background of this? Because I'd be at a lot of the same events as him. A couple of years ago at Welcome to Rockville, he was in the crowd right behind me at Ozzy Osbourne, and I wanted to be after the show, I wanted to be oh, hey, I like your videos, whatever. And he vanished into thin air. Into a sea of people, so it wasn't really thin air, but it was just kind of I finally managed to run into him in one of the aisles in the vendor hall, and I actually was able to just be fanboy for a minute. I don't know, but it was good. He was really nice. Him and his wife were both really nice, so it was nice to actually be able to say hi to them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also awkward when I say hi to people from YouTube or Instagram. The same reason I didn't talk to Creature from the Black Tattoo when I was at Disney. But anyway, I actually forgot to mention earlier, before going into Bruce's line, there was supposed to be a meetup for a photo op of a bunch of people in horror costumes, and I went to the spot where it was supposed to be, and I showed up, and the photographer showed up, and nobody else.
But you still got a cool photo. He still took.
He took a photo. I haven't seen it yet, but at least I got a photo with him. But I just felt bad. I'm fine, whatever. I was just chilling. But
you met the guy and he took a photo. That was as nice as it could be. But even for me, I always hear about his epic horror photos about a Dragon Con or whatever the cons he goes to. And so it was kind of cool to be this is an all Jason one. I think it was, right?
No, I think it was he called it the slasher photo, but the invite was just any cosplay, any horror stuff.
I thought it was Jason.
I think he said he was going to do an all Jason shot, because they kind of, at Dragon Con, they were here's everybody, and then like let's do all the Michael Myers, let's do all the Rob Zombie characters, let's do all the Jasons.
So while they're there, we'll do.
Yeah, there was like a lot of different photos.
It's because no one dressed up as Uber. That's why no one wanted to show.
Is it Uber?
Uber Jason?
The one who drives the cab? So anyway, went back to the truck, dropped off the autographs and stuff we had. I got out of the Jason gear because I was melting. Yeah. Burlap coat in Florida, even on a day where it's a little nice like today, it's toasty. So went back in and got in line for the second autograph session that Sam Raimi was doing. And that actually wasn't that bad of a wait. He was away for like an hour. It wasn't even like 4 or anything from what I could see on the schedule. It was just a break. But basically got in line. The line wasn't that long. And it was about the time he was taking off. So just chilled for an hour and the line moved pretty quick. And what the hell did I talk to him about? I think I just said hi and he seemed like he was having a really good time.
Yeah, we just talked about his time at the show. And thanks for coming out.
Yeah. I was kind of debating if I wanted to spend the money to get his autograph, but I'm like, he is a big enough director where it's a total crapshoot if I'll ever get the chance again. Because he's known for these little indie horror films, but he's also known for Spider-Man,
Or your favorite film, Drive Me to Hell.
It's not my favorite film, but I do enjoy it.
I still need to give it I'll give it a third watch.
The movie grossed me out. I think my problem is that movie, I saw it in the theater and I couldn't escape the grossness in it, but then when I watch it at home, I'm like, well, this is disgusting. Can I just turn this off for a few minutes?
Every time I've watched it, I'm like, it's not like
It's the best talking goat in cinema, outside of Black Phillip.
I stood behind him and let them talk. It was just fun to just stand there and see him and meet him. I just wanted to say hi. I shook his hand. I said, an honor to meet you. My favorite film of his, besides, Spider-Man 2, but I did not realize it's a favorite in this convention until we went to the Q&A. But I was like, I love Darkman. That was besides Spider-Man, that was my introduction to his movies. But after that, we broke off. He went to go... Where'd you go?
I was going to go talk to the guy who did my Goosebumps tattoo a few months ago. I saw him while I was waiting in line, so I went to go say hi.
I went to Tom Matthews. He was selling copies of Never Hike Alone. Haven't watched it yet. I've seen clips on YouTube, and I kind of don't want to watch it on YouTube. And since he was selling the Blu-ray, he was $10. I waited in line. There was a guy in front of me. He was taking time, and even Tom Matthews could see it. I was just waiting. I work in a hospital environment. He was in a wheelchair. Hey, I have until the convention closes. I don't care. So we chatted with him about stuff, helped him put stuff away. And when he left, I took my time and I got the movie. And when we started talking about the new one that's coming out, there's another one. There's this Never Hike Alone in the Snow, which is a prequel. Then there's a sequel that's being planned, and he just said that he's involved. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Talked a bit about that. And then he apologized for having me wait, which we talked about where I work and everything. I'm like, it's nothing to me. It's like if I was in his situation, I would appreciate people helping me because it's like, why wouldn't you do that for somebody? But after that, me and him met up downstairs at the Sam Raimi Q&A, which has got to be the best interaction between a moderator and the guest that I've seen. Probably one of the top 5.
It's funny because I realized the way he was talking, Sam was talking to the moderator, felt like what I would expect to hear, Kane Hodder talk to a moderator, oh, I'm just gonna slaughter you after this is over. But it was the guy would compliment certain things about the way Evil Dead was shot. And
I
Sam
love these effects and everything. Oh, so everything that I didn't shoot you like. No, I love how you edited these together, so you loved my editor. I'm gonna talk to you after the show, will I? I feel a hug in my future.
It was funny. He was just giving the guy so much crap.
It was fun. It was fun banter.
He's going between that joking persona and then I felt like when he was answering the questions, he seemed very down to earth, very normal, as much as somebody in his line of work with his degree of success could be expected to be normal.
And it was nice that there were a lot of questions because he didn't do film school. It was just, he talked about how they went through funding Evil Dead and how to find a distributor.
And I gotta say, it's funny because I expect a lot of the questions to be oh yeah, in Evil Dead when they have the chainsaw, that was cool. And My question is, how is that cool?
There wasn't many of those questions.
There's some really good questions. There was like somebody asked like about what do you recommend film? Yeah, Joe Bob's too.
Joe Bob's and this one were both
do you recommend
very
film
professional.
school? Do you? There's one they were talking about like what's a movie that people haven't really seen that you tell them to go home and watch it right now?
Which I heard We Will Rock You. I don't know what you heard.
You mean you heard the music from the wrestling match next door?
Yes.
I think he said there's a Treasure of the Sierra Madre and Maltese Falcon. I believe those were the two. You think they were the same director?
Yeah, sure, I'll find it.
And like somebody asked about like how do you get into the film industry without like going into massive debt? And
Good luck.
He gave like a thing about like go out and shoot a film, like a 5-page script with your friends on weekends, and then show it, and then take the critiques and then fix it. And then keep doing that.
Yeah, keep doing it week by week by week. And it's like, keep promoting your piece of crap. And you're literally saying piece of crap because you weren't going to see it as art. You are literally going to start, when you hear people tear it apart, you're going to see it like that.
But basically, like, his end thesis of the whole question, or his answer was, like, if you keep doing that, you're a filmmaker. And whether anybody wants to acknowledge it or not, like, that is what you are at that point. And, as long as you're working to improve your craft. So I thought that was kind of like a really... a 5-minute film school that seemed pretty cool.
He was really down to earth with describing how to do this low budget filming and the difference between low budget and, the Spider-Man paychecks, stuff like that. Everyone was trying to keep it Evil Dead. There were a few Spider-Man comments, which I'm surprised there were.
Yeah. I will say, one of the things that I thought was funny is you could hear percentage of people that went up to the mic and you could tell were just nervous to ask him a question.
Yeah.
Or just really excited and just having trouble getting words out. It was like, oh, this guy has definitely affected quite a few people, on a level that's maybe above, some other people you get at a con.
We all have that one person. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had that. You're kind of just like,
yeah,
I'm a fan.
I mean... when I had that, the guy spoke Japanese, and I couldn't really
no wonder
you're
always calm. It's like you don't have to worry about that barrier. It's like you can't understand me. Me, it was Brad Durr, because I'm just like, I'm gonna do this. I get up there, hi. Fuck you. If you actually were a fan, just because you can't go up to a computer and say, I loved you in 1998.
Not that Godzilla.
I'm just saying, you can't go to a computer and say, I loved your work. Why didn't you crush that one person? And then you have, I did.
Stephen Hawking's? Was Godzilla 98? Oh my god, whatever.
You don't get starstruck.
I don't know. I usually have the attitude of, like, even though I'm there to meet people, I've always, like, feel like I'm wasting their time.
Oh, I'm always like that.
So I usually don't say a whole lot, but then, like, other people, it's just kind of like, I've seen them at enough cons that it's not intimidating anyway.
Well,
like Danielle Harris, like I've seen her so many times, it's just kind of like, okay, cool, yeah, you're here, you're in movies.
But there's a difference between someone who you see. Use an example. You see Alex Vincent at every con. Every time now it's gonna be like, hey Alex, how's it going?
If you don't see him at a con, you need to like call him and be like, dude, are you feeling okay?
If you don't see him at a Florida con
or Georgia,
yeah, it's like nothing. You see Sam or Bruce, you're like.
And I also, I will say, usually I go up expecting the worst case interaction with a guest.
Yep. I don't think I've had many.
There, Jingly.
I've had Jesse Ventura as one of them, sadly.
But, I don't want to dwell on the crappy stuff anyway.
Yeah,
so.
but still, it was nice that all these interactions this week were good. You could tell with people talking to Bruce in line and Sam in line, let alone the Q&As, you could tell that they affected people growing up. And it's nice to see somebody who's come up in that entertainment business that didn't do school. It was just, hey, we quit school. We're going to go and just make a movie.
And also, like, a lot of the people at horror cons, they're famous to us.
We're
the crew that are going to, like, celebrate these people. Like, Sam Raimi's done some very big budget, very recognized films.
Yeah.
Mostly named Spider-Man.
And then Drag Me to Hell, and then
Drag Me to Hell was a horror audience.
Then
that saw it.
Oz movie no one speaks about.
But he's done some really big stuff, and that's like once again, like how often do you get a chance to meet a director that's at least worked at that level?
Okay, how often is it easy to meet them without Comic-Con related in the title.
And he even made a comment, like, I don't know if it's because it's the horror audience why people are so nice, or if it's a Tampa thing, or what.
Yeah, and it was like...
So, so it seems like maybe, it was a reaction, like, maybe he's done some of the other more broader Comic-Cons, and kind of nice to know if it was like, oh, the horror people actually, like, treat you better.
And, as big as Spooky is for Florida, it's, to me, I still don't consider it big compared to, San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, Salt Lake City. If it has Comic-Con in the title, I consider those big. Or I guess Texas Frightener and Horror Hound are probably the biggest horror conventions, but
it's the same size as like a Days of the Dead, or I'm assuming Mad Monster Party is probably about the same size.
But even if Spooky is known for being big, I don't see it. And I don't mean that in a bad way, it's just I don't see it big. I still see it as this small convention.
I think you've been going to it long enough. No matter what building it's in, it's still kind of the Wyndham.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Wyndham, so I kind of mentioned at the beginning, this was a brand new venue. This was the Tampa Bay Convention Center. So new city, new venue, probably the largest venue they've ever had, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, bigger than the Orlando Convention Center.
Yeah, well, the Orlando Convention Center was probably physically bigger, but we had a smaller space.
Yeah, we didn't have a space. We only had a...
Spooky, it's a smaller space there, but I think they made really good use of the space for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I see is that, like, there's a little dead space around the stage. I know you need to have some dead space because, I've never really been over there when they were doing anything at the stage, but it does seem like if they could have expanded the autograph area out just a little more, they probably could have accommodated a little more line, but I'm sure Speedy, if he watches this, is going to be like, it's one of those things that you talk about and you don't know a damn thing because you don't know all the planning that went into this.
Yeah.
So I should probably just shut up about that.
Oh, well. For May, they're back in the Wyndham, which, that's fine. Yay.
Is it May?
Yeah.
We have Mayhem again.
It's the...
I might call it something correctly.
It's the weekend before I go to Vegas. It's going to be fun. Broke.
I love that the Spooky Empire returns to Orlando, because I know some people have been grumpy about it. Look, we drive from Jacksonville every damn time. It's like a 2.5 hour drive to get to it in Orlando. We drove 3.5 hours to get to it this time in Tampa. And so all you people that had to drive like an hour from Orlando, shut up.
And if you guys really want to bitch about traveling, I go to a convention in Minnesota. Don't bitch about travels. If there's a reason for you to go, go.
Hell, we drove to Days of the Dead Atlanta in January, so that was 12 hours in a car.
Yeah, don't have distance make. If you can budget either a hotel or the gas, go.
Yeah, honestly, like, I'm surprised how many people said it stopped them. And again, maybe stopping them, like, on a weekday. Like, maybe they're not going to do all 4 days.
If you can't do Thursday, or you could travel Friday
for the weekend.
Hell, if you leave early enough, especially if you look for Jacksonville. If we wanted to do it, we would have shown up just for today and left.
Well, we didn't, because we would not have gotten a lot done, because the things we needed were long lines.
But I'm just saying, if we only wanted 2 people.
Yeah. I think what we heard, and I don't know how true this is yet, but it sounds like they're having it at least one more year for the fall event in Tampa. So next year, I think we can expect to be back in Tampa, and then it sounds like the spring event's gonna stay in Orlando, which I feel like the spring event, the more they can keep it at the Wyndham, the better, because I feel like that's like a tradition that is important. I'm not important, but it's nice. It's like a homecoming for everything.
And also, hopefully, maybe the space and maybe the time frame for being in Tampa will open up for openings for big names to show. Maybe doing Tampa and the time frame, maybe that was the reason why they were able to book Bruce, Sam, and Ted.
And Alice was already in town for a concert.
It's like I've talked to a few people at Crypticon, and sometimes I've talked to other people who run other conventions. It's all depending upon when you book it. So maybe they plan on booking, and then once hey, we get this guest. Well, I can only do this one. I'm like, well, does that work? Like I said, Petey could be watching this and going, shut the hell up.
It's weird now to film these and have them knowing that he might actually see what we're talking about and might actually like go up to us next and be like, you guys are idiots. But honestly, I kind of I like that. That's a possibility.
Of him coming up and saying, dumbass.
I mean, it's
He's gonna be Red Foreman to us. You guys are a bunch of dumbasses.
Oh, I mean, you wouldn't be wrong. But yeah, so I think we should cut it off there. I think that's enough rambling on, and I might tack on something tomorrow. I might not. I really don't know. It depends if anything monumental happens tomorrow, but we'll close it off there.
Got a little bit of an obscure question for you. Years ago, you did a show called Holliston. I was wondering if by chance you still know the Tony Todd rap that you did.
Right off the top of my head, you know it?
I just know that
Something
you did.
about being in the shower.
I just know that you did a Beastmaster sequel on vacation.
Yeah, that was, Adam Briggs, who did Hatchet, and Scary Sleepover, and Hollison, brilliant man. He allowed me to be comedic. I am funny, but because, Hollywood is a weird animal. If you do blue well, they kind of want you to stay blue. They don't want you to be the other colors. But I'm a Skittle inside, so and as a matter of fact, they just offered me, I'm not doing it, but they offered me a 5-episode arc on The Last OG, and I love Tracy Morgan, and I would have done it, but I just moved. I don't really feel like going back and forth, but I am funny. Anybody that's talking to me, hang out with me, knows that. I love life. Comedy comes with enjoyment of life.
Thank you.
The Oldsmobile from The Evil Dead, Sam Raimi's personal car. Delta 88, 1973. Yeah. Piece of shit. But the real question really is, what happened in that car? What happened in that car? That he's got to put that car now in every single movie he's ever made. And he's made Westerns. Where is it in Quick and the Dead? He had it stripped down to a chassis and built a wagon, a covered wagon over the top of it. What happened in that car? It was the first of many things I think happened in that car. So I've been trying to kill it for decades. He will never tell me where it is. It's currently somewhere in Michigan in an undisclosed location with Dick Cheney. So that's that car. Stupid car. I drove around in high school in that car. He put it on a shipping container for Ash vs. Evil Dead to go to the Southern Hemisphere. Can't find any other piece of shit in the other hemisphere? No, it's gotta be the classic. He calls it the classic. No, it has to be the classic. You can ask him about it someday. His fetish with the 73 Chevy. Okay, you weren't asking a question, you were itching yourself. Very good. Yes, right over here.
I heard you have a little drainage you need every morning, you gotta drain the thing.
You heard I have a drainage every morning? Sir, you're confusing me with my character, and you're a sick man. They have help for that, yes. Interested in playing Briscoe again. Sort of what if. It's, it was only 25 years ago that show was on there for one season, so yeah, I've really been knocking on the old door. Hey, man! People are rediscovering it. Good. Yeah, rediscovering it, I guess, is better than never discovering it. Do you know when people hear, they watch the show now, they go, I didn't know you guys used the Olympics theme song for your show? I'm like, no, dude. The Olympics stole our theme song. You watch. It's the NBC Olympics, for God's sake. It's just wrong on so many levels. Yes, in the back.
What was your favorite episode of Jack of All Trades, the film?
My favorite episode of Jack of All Trades, the film. When you say favorites, it's very dangerous. We don't usually have fun when we work. That's kind of a shock to you, I know, because you think actors are carried around on pillows. in between being serviced by concubines, you know? It doesn't really work like that. Normally we show up, we do work 12, 14-hour day, and, you know, sometimes we have a good time, most of the times we don't. Because these things are very difficult. Try and put your head up a cadaver's ass for a week. That was my favorite episode. Someone was like, what was that like? Like, what do you think it was like? Basically, it was like doing the real thing. Yeah. A dream role, that's dangerous too, because then you're in a what-if world. I try to live in this world. The what-if world just gets you depressed. Why isn't Martin Scorsese calling me? Right? Let me say a little something about The Irishman. He was ragging on the Marvel movies, right? Martin Scorsese, one of our greatest filmmakers. So when he says stuff like that, it hurts. Because not like those movies are easy to make. And it's not like The Irishman doesn't have digital effects out the ass. Watch the movie. They have more digital effects than any Marvel movie, I can tell you right now. To get Robert De Niro to go from 9 to 108, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of digital work. So he's kind of full of crap in that respect. Every movie is just as fake as the other one. Nothing is real. Guess what? You're doing a real story about Aaron Brockovich? That's not even what Aaron Brockovich looks like. It's not a real story, even though they say it's a real story. So nobody gets to play, I'm a filmmaker, you make silly Marvel movies. No, they're all bullshit. Every single bit of every movie is bullshit. There's just good bullshit and lousy bullshit and boring bullshit. It's all as fake as you can get. It's a series of still images. It's not a single motion. The actors don't even make up the dialogue half the time. The dialogue isn't coming from their mouth, it's coming from speakers. By the way, in movies and television, where does the music come from? What is that all about? Where does it come from? So don't tell me movies are real. In real life, I don't hear a score. So let's not kid ourselves, Maudie. So before we go, I want to thank you all for showing up because I guess they moved this from Orlando. All the chain restaurants in the world are in Orlando. Every single one. Take a rock. That's fine. Thank you for coming to Tampa. Thank you for putting my children through college that they later dropped out of. Thank you for your support. You guys have been hanging around for a hell of a long time, and I do appreciate that. Have a great afternoon. I'll see some of you later. Thank you very much.